don't know how to introduce our next guest, so I'm going to try anyway. From Generation 1 RC.
Yay!
To Beast Wars.
Yay!
To Beast Machines.
Yay!
Transformers Animated.
Yay!
Transformers Prime.
Yay!
And that's just Transformers. It is the one, the only, the legendary. It is Sue Blue.
Till all are one.
Yay!
It's so nice to be here. Thank you for that warm welcome. It really warms my heart. And I think I said this morning how much I love your country and Birmingham and all of you people. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So, thanks again.
Hey, I have no idea where to start with this. How about this then? You've done it all on screen, voiceover, directing, but where did the love start? Where did the passion for performance start for you?
I've always had it. I was a little girl from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I rode horses and fished with my family and played golf, but I always wanted to pretend, and I'd make up stories, and I never not wanted to be an actor. And I think I had mentioned yesterday that I had some reading difficulties and some speech difficulties, but I was able to overcome them. And I went to college, and I was spotted. I'm making this as short because I don't want to bore you. I went to college, and I was spotted by a talent agent from California. I went to school in Columbia, Missouri, and I was spotted by a talent agent, and they flew me out to Los Angeles after I graduated with a BFA, and I was cast in Gidget Grows Up, a pilot, and the pilot didn't sell, and there I am in California, LA. So, I waited tables, cleaned houses, did everything I could to survive, finally got an agent, and did quite a bit of on-camera work, did a lot of on-camera commercials, and I think I said last night about, I don't know how many of you were here, but I was at the right time, at the right moment, cast as the Pillsbury Dough Girl. And that was 1978 or something like that. And, the casting director said to me, how does she sound? And, or the agent actually did not, and like I said, I didn't know what a voiceover was at the time. And so it was Poppy the Pillsbury Dough Girl. She handled all the sweet stuff. And her voice was, "Hi, I'm Poppy the Pillsbury Dough Girl." Pretty saccharine, huh? But anyway, I was at the right moment at the right time. I was very lucky, and I got this little part. And it ran for a few years, and the residuals were great, and I stopped cleaning houses and stopped cleaning my own house. No, I kept cleaning my house. But so I was just fascinated. I had a demo tape made of all make-believe stuff. I took magazine articles and rewrote them and did a commercial tape that was about 2 minutes long. And so I was fascinated with the voiceover world because you know, at one time I was told that I was too short to be, you know, in television. My face was too wide. All that negative, I won't say the word, but all that negative stuff. And, you know, I still did on camera. The very last gig that I ever did on camera was Friday the 13th, part 7. And I played the role of Amanda Shepherd, and I didn't die until the end by Jason. Jason got me with the weed whacker near the end of the movie. But that really was the last on-camera gig I did. And I was starting to work for Hanna-Barbera a lot. Did a ton of, you know, did Scooby-Doo and Nanny Smurf. Why, you little whippersnapper. and Flim Flam in Scooby-Doo, he sounded, Flim Flam's the name. I'm gonna change your knock. That was Flim Flam. And you know, greatest role that I got was because while I'm standing here is RC in Transformers. And that's kind of how I got in the business, you know. I just kept pounding doors and auditioning. And was that too long, David?
Not at all. I'm sitting here going, keep talking, keep talking. It's fascinating. You told me a funny story about, there are people in the US who ask you to sign pictures of your scene in Friday the 13th, part 7, when you get hit by the weed whacker?
Yeah, I brought some of them actually. Nobody's bought one though yet. So,
I think it's too traumatic for us.
Yeah, I know there's a picture of me.
So, you move into voice acting. What was it about voice acting over on screen? I know you mentioned about the negativity on screen, but why did you never go back to it?
You know, it's really funny. I was dialogue directing the show at the time. I won't tell you what show yet. And my agent, on-camera agent, called me and said, they're redoing Route 66, and they want you to come in and read for them. I said, I can't. I'm dialogue directing the show, and if I can't do it. They called me a week later and they said, they really want you to come in and read for Route 66. And I said, I can't do it. And I got another call a few days later and said, they're offering you the role in the pilot. And you know I didn't do it. I stayed with voiceover and with dialogue directing because I knew that was really where my true love was. I mean, look, I could go to work in jeans. I didn't have to stand on an apple box. I didn't have to wear a lot of makeup. You know, I mean, it was a perfect world for me.
So, you mentioned him yesterday, and we can't talk about your work in voice acting without talking about the legendary Wally Burr.
Yes.
When did you first meet Wally, and how did you become involved in his inner circle?
I met Wally. He was directing some shows for Hasbro. This is before Transformers. And I used to go in and audition for him, and a lot of times I wasn't cast in the part. But then a little show came along called Gem and the Holograms. And so I went in and auditioned for it, and I got the part of 2 parts, Lindsay Pierce and Stormer, one of the Misfits. And so that kind of got me into his world, and then that's when he brought me in to audition for RC. I may be doing the cart before the horse, but that's how. And then he he and I just got along so well, and I really just loved Wally, and that I worked for him for many, many years.
You were really the most regular recurring female member of the cast, and the stories of Wally's directing style is legendary. And I'm just wondering whether or not, how he handled you in the studio, and how did that influence your take on directing?
Well, you know, from Wally I learned what to do and I learned what not to do. You know, I kind of took magic and things from all the directors that I had worked with, and I knew what I didn't want to be, and I knew what I wanted to be. And with Wally, you know, we hadn't formed an animation voiceover union yet, and during Wally Burst sessions, because they could last up to 8 hours, 12 hours, take after take after take after take. You know, he was a perfectionist, and all the power to him. But what happened was, because of some of those sessions, I truly believe this, there became a 4-hour session, so that we would do a 22-minute, half-hour show in 4 hours. And so that would limit the time of how many takes per line, you know, for all the actors. But I think I loved Wally. He's wonderful.
And how what's your earliest memory of getting involved in Transformers? You mentioned there about getting cast as RC in Transformers the movie. So by this point the show's been running for a couple of seasons, and I believe you had a few little guest parts in season 2?
I did.
Yeah. So I know I'm asking questions 40 years ago, but you were brought in prior to the movie starting recording?
I did. I came in and did some incidental roles, you know, gosh, David, it's so long ago.
Of course, of course.
I'm having trouble remembering that, but because RC was really the thing that catapulted me into Transformers.
And what was your take on it? Wally turns around and says, you're going to be a pink robot that has Princess Leia headdress and transforms into a car.
I was so thrilled that I was in this movie with all of these people, you know, and I thought I was going to work, of course, with all of them, Orson Welles and Judd Nelson, and just name. And I mean, it was, and then it was really cool when I realized I was the only female in it, you know. And that, of course, then made me sad, because at that time there wasn't really enough work for women in the industry, in the voiceover industry. Gem and the Holograms, you know, that was a good hefty woman show. My Little Pony, another one. That was a hefty women's show. But a lot of times we would be cast as kid voices. You know, I say, leave the kids in school, let us do the kid voices.
So you joined the cast. What is it? Can you remember what it was like working with that crop of talent? Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, Corey Burton, legends of the industry, much like yourself. What was it like?
Well, you know, Frankie and Peter are just really close friends of mine, and I had worked with them. I did a show with Frank called Fame Face. I don't know, you can Google it. I don't even know if you'll find it, but I was the girlfriend in Fame Face. And I did The Incredible Hulk with Peter. I had worked with them before Transformers. And they became friends of mine. Peter is a great horseman. He was a wonderful polo player and then announced all the polo races. And Frankie is a golfer, and so I would golf with Frank because I'm obsessed with the game of golf. And so they were really, you know, part of my heart, these two guys. And Then later on in my career, I got to direct them. Talk about having to gain a little respect, you know? Woo.
I gotta ask, who's better at golf, you or Frank?
I'm not going to answer that.
Somebody got Frank on the phone. So you do that, it's a wonderful career you've marked out in the voice acting world. You go from show to show. Where does the idea come from to step away from the mic and step behind it?
Boy, you know, somebody was really looking out for me because I had always wanted to direct, to be the conductor, you know, and I was watching all these directors working with Gordon Hunt and Jenny McSwain and Andrea Romano, and, you know, I worked with all of them. And I thought, you know what, I can do that. And in between my gigs, they say people who teach don't work, people who work don't teach. That isn't true. Working actors in LA did teach, and I started teaching voiceovers in between some of my gigs. I loved it. And I wrote a book called Word of Mouth, all about, how about that voice? All about voiceovers. And in fact, somebody had the book here at the convention, and I signed it for them. But I thought, you know what, I want to direct, and I begged every producer in town. I said, please, give me a chance, let me direct. No, you just stay doing voiceovers, you're great with that, and you know, we're covered, we're okay. And finally, a guy named Fred Wolf called me up, and he said, okay, Susie, I hear you want to direct. I went, more than anything. He said, well, I've got a little show. It's only 5 episodes, and every other director has turned it down. So I'm asking you if you want to do it. I'm going to pay this amount of money. I said, fine, I'll take it. What's it called? And it was a little show called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First time that I ever directed, and you know, that was you know, Townsend Coleman and Ralph Paulson and James Avery and Peter Renaday and Renee Jacobs, and I had worked behind the glass with them for so many years, and so now I'm in front of the glass, and it was a wonderful experience, and I was good at it. I was good at it. You know, and it turned into years and years and years of doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I was going to say that show had some legs, a little bit of staying power.
It did, and then of course, that's how I got into directing Beast Wars, was because of all those shows.
If you could speak a little bit about actually what is the role of a voice director? We see directors all the time in TVs, movies, things like that.
Right.
But what is it? What are the skills a voice director needs, in your opinion?
You know, and you all probably know this, maybe some of you don't, but the voices are always recorded first, and the actor is given a script. Usually the day of recording. Now they will get them emailed to them. And a lot of times it will just have the dialogue. Other times it will have the action too. But I will do a rehearsal when all the actors come in. I'll talk about their characters with them. And then I'll do a run through a table read, just like they do in regular television. And I'll give them the action, and I'll say, you know, when we do it, maybe just have a little bit more energy in that line because you're running uphill and you need to be a bit out of breath, and so you'll mark that in the script. So it's up to me to really give the action to the actors. And then we'll do the read-through, I'll get them all in the booth, and we start recording. And I'll say, let's record the first scene, I'm not going to stop you, let's just go through it. We start the recording, maybe 12 lines. I'll stop. I'll go, okay, Frank, could you just give me a little more, just a little more heat in that read? A little more, give me a little anger in that read. Peter, lay back a little less, a little slower. Actors have the habit of picking up on each other's pace. As we talk, it's easy to pick up on, when someone's energetic, the person they're talking to is going to be energetic. So I watch that the rhythm and the pacing of each character is different. Or everything will sound like this, every line will be like that, everything, will be like that. So it's my job, as I said last night, to fulfill the playwright's intention, the art director's intention, and try to get the best performance I can out of the actors, and yet letting them know that they are doing an incredible job at the same time that I'm telling them to do it again.
Right, let's open it up to the audience. Anybody got some questions? We've got mic runners. Let's just start over here. Over at your side. Gentleman, I think in a white top.
That's correct. Hi Susan. I've been a fan of Transformers for half the time G1's come out now. This is my first ever TF Nation, so it's actually a real honour to meet you as well.
Are you having fun?
I am having a lot of fun. I actually want to be a voice artist as well. I've been doing voices since I was for about over 10 years now. So what I want to ask is, what's the most important element in voiceover, but is the most forgetful element in voiceover?
Give me that question one more. What's
the most important thing in voiceover, but the most very forgetful? Like you know what to do, but you forget to do it.
Wow. I try to keep my work in voiceover as spontaneous as I can be. If I'm thinking, stinking thinking, if I'm thinking too much of how I want something to be, it's going to become mechanical. So I always try to keep my work organic, keeping it coming from the real place. I forget all the time, but as long as I'm true to who I'm trying to portray, that's all that matters. Did I answer that a little bit?
Spot on.
Did I answer that a little bit?
Yes.
Good.
Right, where are we? Oh, there's our mic runner. Well, we've got somebody over down here.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry. Well, first off, it was really nice to speak with you earlier. Sorry, I'm still overly nervous. So more specifically about how you performed as RC. So were there any particular inspirations you took to create the voice of RC?
Well, basically, the voice of RC is basically my own voice, but I thought of all of the heroines that played on television, and the heroes, even John Wayne, and I took the heroism out of those characters to make sure I put it into RC, and yet kept her warmth, her warmth to Daniel, and kept a human element in her heart. And, you know, it's great that you said you were so nervous, because didn't that nerve dissipate after you said you were nervous? Didn't it help? I'm always nervous, you know, when when I looked at this crowd standing over there, I got a tummy drop. I went, whoa, there's a lot of people here. Do I see Amber?
Uh-oh.
Do you have a question?
Hold on, I'll go back. We'll come back to you in just a second.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just...
Hi Susan.
Hi, Amber.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good, wonderful. I was wondering about your voice direction career. Of course, you've done many great shows. You've done like James Bond, Juliet, Cliff of the Big Red Dog, Curious George, and everything like that. What got me wondering was, I asked this to Andrea Romano the other day. I'm not sure if you have the same answer as her. When you're in a cartoon and you're voicing a character and it's the same cartoon you're voice directing, what do you do in this situation? Do you voice direct yourself? Does someone else voice direct you? Let's say for Transformers Animated, where you voiced an RC and you'd seen with Corey Burton who's doing Ratchet. Who would voice direct you at this point? Would it be the engineer, or how would it go about?
That's a really good question. I've only cast, cast myself once when the producers cast me in Transformers Animated over Cartoon Network, where RC was brought back to life. But I will never cast myself in a show that I'm directing, because there's not enough work for women. And I want to cast as many women as I can in the roles, so when I'm dialogue directing, I will not cast myself in the show. Period. It's only happened once or twice, and it's been special incidents. Okay.
Got a question over here?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
We've got a mini RC.
Yes, I see that. It's so cute. Wow, that is very cool.
Thank you so much. I know I'm cosplaying as RC, and I know most people know you for voicing RC, but I wanted to ask, what was it like voicing Transmutate in that episode of Beast Wars?
It was fantastic. There's an example where the producer directed me in that show. I loved it. I loved playing her. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I have just two random questions. Number one, who is your favourite character just the voice throughout your whole career, cancellers or not? Just question.
Who's my favorite character that I...
Voice.
Do you think I'd say anything else but RC?
As expected. Other one is, which project has been the most fun to work on, whether that's just voice acting, directing, or anything like that?
Boy, you know, every time I walked into a session, I used to say, this is the best session I've ever had. And I'd walk into another session and say, this is the best session I've ever had. You know, they've all just, they've really been really incredible. I mean, you know, I could say...
Transformers movie!
Well, that was the best. That was the very, very best.
Yeah, got a question over here?
Hi Sue, it's been really interesting listening to you. I just had a question regarding, you mentioned when you were younger you kind of had some like speech therapy and you get sometimes nervous, and I had some of the same things when I was younger and working public speaking a lot, so I tend to find I kind of stutter a bit sometimes. Now, wondered kind of maybe earlier on in your career, did you have any kind of similar things, or did it always come out as kind of as confident as you sound on stage now?
Well, I had a speech therapist until I was 16 years old. You know, I was a good actress, you know. I did Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz in high school, and I just knew that I wanted to do this. But in doing voiceovers, you know, reading got me a little nervous. Reading, giving the illusion that you're not reading. I think I said last night that once I was off book, I was great. But reading, I was a bit nervous because I am dyslexic. And so I would get the scripts. I'd make sure and be able to get the scripts well ahead so I could really over-rehearse them. And of course, I was confident as can be. Did that answer your question?
I've got somebody down here.
Hello.
Hi.
It's kind of a basic question.
Good. I like basic.
I was just wondering, what's your favourite iteration of the character RC throughout the entire of Transformers?
The first one. The one that I did. You know, it was so weird when I was back directing one of the Transformers, and there was another RC there, and you know, Peter was there, Frank was there, but there was another RC there, and I was directing it, and she was good. She was really good, and had this kind of sexy voice, you know, and everything, and I went, damn. But I got to direct it.
Sorry, hi Susan.
Huh?
Okay, so I've just got 2 questions. So you voiced one of the very first female Transformers in history, and I'm sure it inspired a lot of young girls at that time. So do you have anything inspiring to say to the girls in the audience? So that's the first question. And my second question is so apart from voicing RC yourself in Transformers and animated, you also were the voice director of Transformers Prime. I guess it means you got to work with Somali Montano on a voice as RC. So how does it feel to pass on the mantle of RC to her, and how would you rate her performance, her interpretation of RC?
You mean the RC now, or?
Her version of RC, Somali's one.
Great. I mean, you know, different than mine, but great. And I think what I'd say to the women and the girls in the audience is, you know, we have every right to be here and every right to voice our opinions and every right to do anything we want to do. What's that Helen Reddy song? I am woman, hear me roar.
So how does it feel with a character that you helped define and create? How does it feel knowing that the legacy of that character is being carried on by others?
You know, it was time. I mean, I would have loved to have done it, you know, in the live action movie and stuff like that, but it is what it is, you know, and I was okay with it. You know, I kind of went, gee, I wish I could have done it. But really, I mean, I did it enough. I was RC, and I am RC, and I'm the original RC, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
He's running.
Hi Susan.
Hi.
First time I've held the mic, so still stuck with. So I don't think it's any kind of misconception amongst the fandom that the original cartoon and the film was ultimately kind of made to kind of sell toys. With that in mind, did they give you much kind of background to the character of RC, or did you just kind of like interpret a lot of that and make it your own to such a successful degree that it is?
Yeah, well, Wally and I, you know, Wally really helped me with the character, the director. we really built the character from the ground up as far as her emotions, her strength. You know, I didn't care about the toys. None of us did who were playing. I mean, we said, boy, somebody's going to get rich. Not us. But you know, yeah, I developed a 100% full character through RC, and I had a lot of help from Wally and how her character grew through the series. Did that answer it?
Yeah, it did. Thank you very much.
We've got a question over. Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah. Oh, it's you. Hello.
Hi.
Hi there, Sue. I've got a rather surreal question I'd like to ask you. If you had the opportunity to create a femme for Transformers, what sort of alt form would you like to give her?
If you could transform into anything, what would it be?
What a great question.
If you could create a femme Transformer robot, what alt form would you have?
Well, if I could create an RC, a female
Transformer, what sort of alt form would you give her? Different form for robot.
a different form than a robot.
Yeah, and she transforms.
That's interesting. I don't know. I kind of like the Mercedes-Benz or the Jaguar myself. You know what I would do? I'd transform into an electric car.
I would have thought it would have been golf caddy. Well, there's going to be somebody by the end of the weekend. Somebody by the end of the weekend will have a picture of that character, no doubt, I'm sure.
RC turns into a golf cart. I love that.
We've got a question down here, yeah?
Hey Susan, so just a quick question. I wanted to ask, what is it like your favorite type of voice? Do you like the high-pitched cartoony voices, or do you like the more gentle and calm voices?
Wow. Boy, I like them all, you know. I had to play there was a series I did called Wildfire for Hanna-Barbera. Wildfire, I think it was. And I was a horse. And I had to whinny through the whole thing, you know. And all these different emotions, sad. Wow. Didn't think I still had it in me. Maybe I don't. But, you know, I tried to build my repertoire of characters throughout my career. You know, I just didn't want to do kid voices, yet I was known for kid voices. You know, I could play a pretty good little guy, pretty good little boy, and I could play a little girl. But I wanted my villainesses to be strong too. And I also wanted to be able to, you know, emulate some famous people. You know, like I wanted to be the best Catherine Hepburn there was. And Betsy Davis. What a duck. But I was always trying to learn, you know, I was always trying to increase my repertoire.
One down here.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Just wanted to know that you played the voice for Galandria on Visionaries.
Uh-huh.
How was that as an experience? Because I absolutely love Visionaries, by the way.
Yeah, I did that. Wonderful actors were in it. It was fun, you know, it was, again, good versus evil, and we were good, and we were fighting evil, and, you know, it was a great show, and the animation was really good on it also, I thought. I'm glad you liked it. Wonder whatever happened to it.
We'd have to ask the Mage brothers if they were about. Got a question over here? Oh, going back to the middle left. I didn't know where you'd gone.
Yeah. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Also, again, thank you for coming to TF.Spacestation. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
As I asked you, what's the most difficult voice in your career you've had to bring to life? What gave you the most trouble?
What gave me the most trouble? I think probably, I'm thinking on my feet now. Probably Nanny Smurf, because, why, you little whippersnapper, she had to be old, but she had to be pepper. And Jonathan Winters played Grandpa Smurf. And so going into the sessions, I was always really nervous because I had to work with Jonathan Winters, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of ignoring you over again, I don't mean to. So I was really concerned about my performance, not so much the voice, but the performance. There's been some characters where I've just totally ripped my throat out doing, in some shows. But there was a very favorite character of mine. You probably never heard of it, and especially if anybody is insecure or a little nervous or whatever, I want you to look up Stanley the Ugly Duckling. It's a show I did, and there's a song in it called I Like Myself. And you can find it right on, you can Google it. And I want you to hear that song. I don't know why I brought that up, but that song has meant a lot to me. And a lot of even, school teachers use that song for for the kids to learn how to be confident. And so, Stanley the Ugly Duckling. I played Stanley.
We've got one over here.
Oh, hi, Sue.
Hi.
I know Frank Welker used to play some terrible pranks on poor old Ollie Byrne. I've heard some really funny stuff. When you were directing Frank, did he have the stones to try anything on with you? Any funny stuff?
No, other than trying to beat me at golf. No.
Trying.
Frank was just always so, he would tease me all the time, but he was just such a gentle human being that, he was just a love bug with me. Love bug. But I should pull some sort of trick on him.
Right, we have time for one last question. Just along here. Don't worry, Sue will be back tomorrow, so that's absolutely fine. Go on, send us over with something good. No pressure.
Yeah, no, it better really be a good question.
Well, it's a bit personal, so feel free to not answer if you don't feel like it, but as a non-straight woman yourself, how does it feel that seeing that in animation we're getting a bit more representation of non-straight women, shows like The Owl House, there's even Transformers Earth Park with its non-binary character. How does that feel to you, and how do you feel it's different from back in the 80s or so when you were coming up and starting in the industry?
Wow. That's one of the heaviest questions I've ever had. How did you know I was gay? Back when I first started in animation and in voiceovers and as an actor, I dated guys, I hid in the closet. It was very scary to me. And I didn't want anybody to know. And that had a huge influence on me as growing up and as a human being, because I deserve to be here. I deserve to be who I am, and I deserve not to be chastised for it. And it can be really I'm so glad that it's starting to open up much more than it has. But, you know, coming from the US and seeing what they're trying to do, I'm not going to get into politics, but, you know, boy, could I. But you know, it's very scary. And any kind of rights that are taken away or any kind of, you know, I love that it's a lot more in the entertainment industry. We're seeing a lot more shows, even animation pieces, you know. But I'm very proud of who I am and who I love. And, you know, she's a little younger than I am, so of course, you know, she was out there, way out there. You know, I remember hiding behind a wall. We were playing golf one time and she yells, "Where's my wife?" You know. That whole other life, and you know, since my life is out there and it's known, I'm okay with it, but I am a very private person, unfortunately. Thank you. Maybe one other question?
Well, I've got one question to send us home with. I'll lead in, but that was an absolutely fantastic question. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, when you're on stage, we're going to talk a little bit about your time directing Transformers shows, such as Transformers Animated and Beast Wars. Is David Soul in the room? I'm curious if he's here or not. Probably not. What's it like working with David Soul?
You know, David, just a gentle giant, you know, but with just these this powerful voice he's got. He's just a wonderful actor. I mean, there's an actor who really does his homework. He comes in with all sorts of different ideas on the character. He has tremendous respect for his fellow actors. He's an amazing talent. I love David.
And I think that was evident yesterday in the panel, the bond that you two share.
Yeah, we really do. He's an incredibly talented guy.
Excellent. Well, that's going to do it for today, and that's going to round up our afternoon of festivities. Everybody, please give Sue